GA. And man, I'm here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Well, I'm confused. I'm really confused, and not just about the montage that I've just seen Chris has done for the beginning of the show. We'll talk about that later, mate. No, I'm confused, and of course that's normally my usual state of mind, but what's really got my flabbergasted at the moment is the idea of averages. Looking at the championship, for example, all the teams are built to within a point of each other, and yet, if you take Birmingham as an example, and I wish you couldn't, but there you are. The idea of this creating even teams is, well, it's not really working, is it? Now, this isn't an original thought for me, but something conjectured on by one Mr. Brian Buck. So, what is the answer to it? Well, that's over to you. What's your answer to it? Really just leaves me to say, only in Speedway. Good evening, everybody. How are we?
We're all right.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, you sure?
I'm absolutely sure, yeah.
Good match last night.
It was a good match, to be fair.
For those that don't know, Matt is a Wolverhampton supporter. There you go.
To be fair, it was a good match last night. I mean, I think to a degree, both teams really cancelled each other out to a large degree. I mean, Wolves got a heat advantage in one heat, Sheffield got one back in the next heat. I mean, a good start in terms of the 5-1 in the first heat, which you would have hoped would have set us up for a good night. But Sheffield look very, very strong all the way through. I mean, they've got a good top end in Muselec, Ellis, and
we might have got our
Jack
predictions right for once this year.
Jack Holder. Although Jack Holder didn't have such a great night last night, he only scored 6 points. But when you've got second strings like Craig Cook and Carl Houth, and they're picking up race wins as well. You know, I said to my dad yesterday after the meeting, I think any team that finishes above Sheffield this season in the league, I think will be very, very pleased, because they look a really, really good, strong,
compact,
solid
isn't
outfit.
It? Yeah. It's not really a weak link.
You did wonder whether maybe Sheffield at reserve might be a little bit weak, but their reserves did outscore ours last night. So
their Birmingham reserve did well.
Yeah, Stephen Nielsen, yeah, good. Obviously did the job by winning
the
number two.
heat,
Good heat with number two there. Drew Kemp almost caught him on the line on the outside, but just about managed to hold on. So, but there's a possibility, of course, with a 5-1 in the last heat, that we could have taken it to the super heat, if you like, and been something there. But really, it would have been an absolute travesty. No complaints from me. Sheffield more than deserved to win last night.
Right.
They were excellent.
Well, good God.
And they bought a good following as well. There was quite a lot of people from Sheffield came down as well.
They must know that they've got a good team, and it makes a difference.
They've won at Bellevue, which, for a Yorkshireman is always a great treat. To also go and win in Lancashire, and then to win at Wolves as well. I'm trying to think the last time Sheffield would have won at Wolves. I mean, obviously it's not, this.
It wasn't last season, was it?
It's not a track that they visited. It's probably going back to the Moran, but to the days of the Moran brothers back in the 80s, possibly. That's probably the last time. So if anybody knows, they'll probably stick it on the chat.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure. Talking of the chat, well, we'll come on to all of them. Well, I suppose we'll have to talk about Birmingham at some point. I am still hopeful. And we'll also talk about, because I watched the Birmingham match on the stream, and we'll have a chat about that as well.
Yeah.
But also, we'd love to know what you guys want to chat about. We'd love to hear about your reports from any matches that you've seen and how you thought your team did. How can they contact us, Chris?
Okay, so we're
live. I woke him up. I'm sorry.
We're live this week on YouTube as well as Facebook. Just search for UK Speedway Tavern. And if you really, really are brave, you can give us a ring as well. Call us. Just leave a message on a share box, and I'll message you back with the number. And there we go. And we can have a chat.
Fantastic. You might need to turn your mic up a little bit.
He sounds bored, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He probably is, to be fair. They're listening to us.
Well, there is that. Does anybody want to say hi to on the shout box?
Well, okay, so we got Simon Corbett's on. We got Ben Clifton, Jeff, Dave Twine, Jim Turrell, and a few others which I've missed.
Okay. We have any comments?
Not so far apart from hello. How the heck did those bricks get in the shale in Poland?
We can't see the rest of it.
The time.
The
Ty
time was
was
moaning
moaning
about.
about.
I've seen something. I don't know the full story about this, but I've seen something on social media earlier. If anybody's obviously knows a bit more about that, then please share it with us. I've only seen the sort of comments like that about it. So,
Well, shall we talk about the stream with BSM? Did you watch it?
I did, yeah. I think.
Yeah.
I think. There's. It was. Generally, I thought the coverage was very good.
I can feel you trying hard to be fair here when you.
Yeah, I am trying to be fair. I mean, I know that there was one or two things you could say with getting riders mixed up. I think to a degree, I mean, you've got to make allowances for the fact that it was the first time they've done it. They didn't get off to the best of starts, obviously, with the stream having problems getting it going. It took about 10-15 minutes for it to get going. It did freeze.
That's the nature of streams,
yeah, it did freeze in a couple of little sections as well, but. I think to a degree that the guys on there were maybe nervous, perhaps trying a little bit too hard. But
I think that's.
I think there's a lot of potential in there, to be honest. And I mean, for the price you pay for the one-off meeting, it's $11.99. I mean,
it's $11.99 for the one-off.
It would have paid a lot much more to travel up to Beric and and petrol and food and drink and getting your admission in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went for the month's pass.
Yeah.
Which not £20. I mean, I just think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You get. I think there's 5 matches on.
Yeah. What I like about it as well is the fact that all of these meetings are going to be on the club's race night, so there's not going to be any moving it around and putting it on Monday nights like you would with Eurosport, BT, and Sky before that. Plus, they haven't got to sort of try and fill a whole schedule, have they?
No.
So if there's a threat of rain, they'll probably rush it through, rather than having to try and fill a whole 2-hour slot.
Something that should have been done a long time ago.
Possibly, yeah. I think there was always the pressure from the producers that, hang on, we've got a 3-hour slot to fill here. You've got to fill the whole lot.
Yeah.
So, but they won't have that problem on the stream, of course, because there's nothing going to be on afterwards. So.
After it's just a stream. And has anybody? Do we know what the take-up's been? Have we got any idea at all?
Interesting to know. I don't know. Obviously, I don't think anything's been made public as of yet. A lot of the comments I've seen comments on the BSF from a lot of people who watched it, and they said they enjoyed it and they'll be doing it again, and that's good. I mean, streaming is something that I think they're quite late to the party on this, aren't they? Really, I think with the benefit of hindsight, it would have been advisable to have done this last season during the early stage of the season, while you couldn't have full crowds
Stadium
in
and
the
stuff.
stadiums.
Yeah.
It would have been something that was well worth looking at then. But
I guess it's not something that you can just say, okay, we'll do streaming. It needs to be set up, doesn't it?
it's got to be set up, yeah.
So,
I mean, obviously with the graphics and commentating team and things like that and camera work. Disappointment for me was that there was no replays, although there wasn't really a lot to replay on Saturday's meeting, to be honest. But hopefully that's something they can look at and put in time.
Yeah. So, a thumbs up, basically.
Thumbs up, yeah.
Thumbs up.
Probably didn't help that it wasn't the most competitive match, to be fair. But
Yeah, I mean, I can't say as I enjoyed it, if I'm honest. I wanted to stop watching halfway through, but maybe we'll get something out of this heat.
Yeah.
Maybe, for those of you that don't know out there, I'm sure there's not anybody that doesn't know I'm a Birmingham fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
So,
I had
yeah.
no idea.
Well, you don't have any idea. That's the problem.
No, that's true.
Some matches on tonight. Is the Plymouth versus Poole?
We'll keep a close eye on that one.
Apparently Plymouth are giving Poole a hard match so far, according to Simon Corbett.
Plymouth don't look a bad side, to be fair, on paper. So we'll just amuse yourselves for a minute while
I beg your pardon. Would you like to rephrase that?
I know you can't see my hands, but...
that's a relief for all roads.
I mean, let's talk about the match. I did think that the track was
It's 29-25, by the way, at at Plymouth in favour of the home side.
29,
25.
25. That's a close match.
That'll be a big coup for Plymouth to beat Poole. So
I thought that it was the Beric track was quite one line on Saturday.
I've got to be brutally honest. Beric is not a track that is as a favourite of mine. You know, I mean, they always seem to have, when Sky were doing the league, they always seem doing second tier matches. They all seem to have a affinity with going to Beric for some reason. It's never been a favourite track of mine. I think the shape it's too long a straights really and too short bends. To be honest, it's difficult track and it's a bit narrow as well. Bomber obviously likes the track. I mean, I remember I spoke to him last couple of years ago, and he said, Beric was one of his favourite tracks in the second tier.
Because he can get out, he'll go further into the dirt than a lot of people will.
Yeah, I mean, they are. To be fair, Beric are a good side. I think they'll beat a lot of teams up at Sheffield Park. To be honest, that are better than Birmingham. It's going to be whether they can do the business away from home, I suppose.
I mean, obviously Birmingham's not had a great start to the season, but we should also look at the fact that Leicester, for instance, when Scunthorpe went to Leicester, they got trounced. I think it was it exactly the same amount?
The same scoreline, although apparently it was a very good meeting from people who I've spoke to who went up to Leicester on Saturday, because it was predominantly the Scunthorpe riders getting out the start and the Leicester riders passing them. So, did
you say passing?
I did say passing.
Is
yes,
that
at Leicester?
Well, you see, I remember going to Eastbourne, and what a shame that Eastbourne aren't with us, despite the fact that I think their track's an abomination, but that's just a personal view. And I remember, I mean, we got slaughtered as we always used to at Eastbourne. I remember the Eastbourne supporters saying, wasn't that a good match? There's some good racing. And the only racing that there was the dash from the second bend to the third bend, and that was it. And to me, that's a drag race. I think there's fans at a lot of clubs. I think they're not so enamoured with the quality of the action. They just want to see their team win, and if they're getting big wins, then that's enough for them. To be honest, I mean, obviously, I mean, my mentality is, I want my team to win, but I also want to see some good racing as well. Absolutely. Let's hope. We'll talk about Birmingham just a little bit more. I do apologise. I mean, it's a big meeting for tomorrow for Birmingham, I think.
Well, it's a free hit, isn't it? Because I don't think anybody seriously expects Birmingham to pull that deficit back.
No.
But they need, if not to win the match, even if it doesn't win the match, they need a good performance, I think, to sort of give everybody some confidence that the season's not going to be a bit of a write-off, to be honest. And hopefully there'll be a good crowd in there to see that as well.
That's the important thing.
If they can get a good result against what's a very strong team, then I think that will give a lot of people a bit of a boost. That there might be something in this season. I think it's far too early at the moment for Birmingham to be looking at top six there, because I think
it's also far too early. I mean, going back to the BSM stream. Was it BSM or BSN? I can't remember.
BSN.
What really annoyed me at one point was that they started saying, well, is it too early for Birmingham to make changes? Well, yeah. We haven't even had a home meeting yet. I mean, come on. I think that's ridiculous, don't you?
Yeah.
And in any case...
Who's
out? Well, there wasn't there? Who's out there for you to change?
Well, the only way at the moment you would go for is if you go for somebody who's completely unknown, which is a hell of a gamble. So, I think from a Birmingham perspective, probably the biggest cause for concern for me would be Josh Orton. He looks completely. I mean, the thing people have got to remember about Josh is barely ridden since 2019. Of course, we have the whole of 2020 season was written off because of COVID. He did about 2-3 matches for Scunthorpe in 2021, and then lost his place to Adam Ellis. So he's got a lot of work, he's got a lot of catching up to do. He's got to try and sort of get back into the swing of it. I think Klaus Vissing's in a similar situation as well, isn't he? He actually rode okay, I thought. On he was getting out the starts well enough. He just didn't seem to have enough speed. Wasn't getting out into the dirt line. Yeah, which Klaus usually will. But I mean, he did start
getting out into the dirt line a bit later. So confidence, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think there are signs there that it's not all doom and gloom.
No, it isn't. But
I mean, James Pearson looks like he's got a good head on his shoulder, and he's got a meeting now without
falling off, which is good.
Yeah. Okay, Jim. We will move from Birmingham in a minute. He said, "Oh, am I on commission for how many times I say Birmingham?"
Probably not Birmingham.
So yeah. Well, let's change the subject then.
In fairness to the team that ride at Perry Bar, I would say that they've had two very, very difficult fixtures so far in Leicester and Beric.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably the match they were the most competitive in was the challenge match at Mumma last week. Although I don't think it was against a Wolves team that was going at full tilt in that one. But yeah, so I think there's room for cautious optimism among the Brummies fans.
It's not doom and gloom yet.
Not doom and gloom yet, but they do need at the very least a good performance, and I think that they could really do. If not, then I don't think, realistically, as I say, they're not going to overturn that deficit that they gave at Leicester the other week. But if they can win the match,
stranger things have been known.
Are we going to get the story of 74 again? Are we?
74?
Is it 74 or 74?
You're talking about no. I was thinking more of the one against Rye House with Ty Woffington, and where they ended up with just two riders.
Well, that was obviously that was a bit of a that one was a bit of a
and I'm not. Let's just get this straight now. I am not wishing that on Leicester or any other team. It was just a point that things do happen sometimes. We've got a few comments coming up. Would you like to go?
Yeah, for some reason it's not showing everything on that bit. But here we go. From Jeff Daniels, regarding the Polish meeting, it was a pairs meeting. Ty posted a picture of very large stones in the shale. He said these hurt when the hit you, and that's exactly what happened to Doyle, and broke a finger.
Ouch. Okay, so
does that explain why Doyle didn't have such a great night at Peterborough last night for Ipswich?
I don't know. What did he?
I think he only got about 7. I think.
Right.
7 or 8.
Give Pearson a chance. He'd never rode Beric before, and he did improve through the night.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that.
I think Birmingham did stem the tide in the second half of the meeting. To be fair, the damage was done in the first sort of 8-9 heats, wasn't it? Really,
which is possibly that where Beric. Because it's a weird looking track to me.
Yeah.
But
and it's a great town to visit. Apparently, says Ben. Beric, a great town to visit. Great local fans who are very.
I've not been to Beric for the Speedo, but I have been there. It's a lovely place. Lovely place.
Never been there. No?
I don't think I have either. I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, it was just the track was a bit one line. I'm not saying that it's like that all the time. I don't know. But on the night, and also the Beric riders commented on it as well, being one line, and that you needed to get out the gate. So, hey ho. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were well beaten.
Yeah,
there was that. I'm not using the track as an excuse. Same for everybody, etc., etc. It's just what happened. Right. So shall we go back? Let's get your commission in, then we'll start talking a little bit about Wolverhampton. Sheffield, as we said, very, very strong team. Now that you've ridden against Sheffield, where would you say Wolverhampton are? Do you think they'll need to? So I'm going to do what the commentator said. And do you think they might need to make changes at some point? Not now.
Not necessarily to personnel, but maybe the riding order. I think Steve Worrell at number 5 is possibly a little bit of a mistake. He's on a 5-point average. That's what he starts off on, and it's a bit of a gamble. I think a 5-point manager number 5 with the 2 reserves, when you perhaps, without being disrespectful to Joe Kemp and Leon Flint, they're not the strongest reserves in the league. I mean, Steve Worrell's first 2 races last night, one was a 2-4 against, and one was a 1-5 against. I mean, that's 6 points you've lost. So I think there's a reluctance to break up that strong opening pairing of Masters and Becker, which is arguably the strongest pairing in the division. especially at home.
He had a good night yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He didn't do so well against Birmingham, I don't think. But he certainly looked a lot more like his old self last night. And
Thanks for that, but that's another commission point. Thanks.
That's So that's maybe where possibly Pete Adams and Chris Van Stratton possibly could look at, to be honest. Making a sort of change to the riding order, maybe moving Nick Morris to number 5. I mean, again, Nick Morris and Ryan Douglas is quite a strong pairing in the middle order, but it's just that Heat Leader and the reserve pairing that's maybe a bit of a cause of concern. I mean, it is only one match, and Steve Worrell's obviously got even though he's got experience of riding at Monmouth from when he was racing for Cradley. It's obviously a step up riding in the top league, and he's obviously got to get dialed back into the track again. So obviously we've got a bit of a break now, and then of course we've got the
Leon Flint seems to have kicked on a bit.
Yeah, I think it's doing Leon good actually riding at the smaller track. To be honest, I think he needed that. Obviously, racing at Monmouth is a bit different to belting around Beric and places like that, and Bellevue as well. But
you have to turn it very quickly.
Yeah, you do, and he's. I think so. Yeah, I think he'll be. He's definitely looking a lot more confident at Monmouth than he was at the end than he was last season. To be honest, he still looked a little bit tentative last year, I think.
So we have the interval at Plymouth Pool, and that's 33 all.
Yep, that's a close match.
It's going to be a good match.
So,
Ben Clifton says a team from the West Midlands probably battling Newcastle for bottom spot, and Wolves look to be in the playoff mix.
I wanted to ask about Newcastle because obviously they're opening night on Sunday. Is anybody who was there? What was their crowd like?
Because they're in the same boat as us.
Probably quite ugly, I think.
Who was that? Who were they racing?
It was a Stoke match. It was a challenge match, wasn't it? In memory of the late great Dave Tatum, of course. So.
Yeah, of course. I hope it was a good turnout for that then.
Yeah.
What's Simon Corbett got to say? Because I can't read it all.
Peterborough won easily, and Anderson didn't score. New reserve Basso was 14 points.
Yeah, he looks like he rode really well, Basso. So,
I've heard good things. I've never seen him ride, but I've heard good things about him.
Yeah, well, I said before, I think I said last week, don't rule Peterborough out. I mean, people say, Peterborough have lost a bit of strength with losing Bjarne Pedersen, but on the evidence of last night, then there's no reason why they won't be in the mix again. Bomber, I think, had a good night as well. I think he got a maximum.
He's on form at the moment, isn't he? Apart from when he rides for us. Bless.
Something I wanted to ask, which I was looking at the other day, regarding young riders, are there any very, very young riders this season competing?
Well, James Pearson for one.
And what age groups are
Well, James Pearson's 16.
16.
Yeah, is that young enough for you?
Life.
Obviously, you go down to the National League, you've got 15-year-olds racing, haven't you?
Yep.
Jesus.
I think James Pearson may well be the youngest in the championship.
I think he is.
I think so, unless somebody knows different.
And a good prospect.
I think so. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think there's definitely potential there.
He's certainly not being embarrassed at all. And, he's had 2 matches on tracks that he will have never seen before in his life.
Through the 3 first matches he's had have been probably tracks that are completely alien to him, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how, because at least he has ridden the Birmingham track, not in anger, but he's got an idea. So that's going to be interesting to see how he. But I've got no worries about him, and I also think Birmingham have done the right thing in saying there's no pressure on him.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
So,
you won't be able to see the Jeff Daniels one. Welcome to the world of frustrating Steve Worrell. Looks a world beater at times, then looks pure novice. Really is a frustrating rider. A change was best for the club and rider this season.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times when you watch Steve Worrell and you think, well, what a prospect this lad is, and then other times he can, as Jeff said there, he can look quite ordinary, to be honest.
Reminds me of one Mr. Finn Jensen, but let's not get into that.
Yeah.
Or Kasperzak.
Yeah.
He's another one that can be hot and cold, isn't he?
Well, I remember going to Brandon when he rode there for Birmingham, and he was 6-ride maximum. And if he'd have had another 6 rides, he'd have probably won them as well. He was absolutely flying that night. Nobody got near him. On his day, Kasperzak was a world-class rider. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to do for those of you that have not heard the show before, and if not, where have you been? We do this sort of league table.
Yeah.
We started it last week. I forgot to.
And me?
But you're still in front of me.
I'm still on
Have we got a league table?
Have you got
going?
the table? The table, obviously, I did.
Yes, I'll get it up. I'll get up in 2 minutes.
We'll have a look at that. So we'll go through all of this week's matches.
I've also put this week's matches up on the chat as well. So if you want to, feel free to put them in the on the live stream as well.
Or you can join in with us.
Yeah, but
as and when you want to.
So if you talk amongst yourselves for a bit, I'll get the table up so everybody else can see it as well. Have you messaged it to me?
I posted it. Do you want me to message it to you as well?
Oh, this is good. This is
fantastic
good radio.
radio.
This is fantastic radio. What? This is award-winning radio.
And we were criticising the streaming for.
Message it to me and I'll get it up.
Right, is there any more messages? Because I can't see the thing.
I'm coming to get my title back this season, says Ben Clifton.
Okay.
Ben was the winner of the
2019
inaugural.
Uh-huh. And what did we send to last year's winner?
I think is it Simon. I think he got a T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Might have got a mug as well.
A mug.
Probably. Wow. Yeah. But don't tell Ben that.
No expense spent.
No. No ordinary mug. It had his name on it. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it did. It had his name on it.
Yeah. No expense spent here.
Very nice. No chance.
So we'll be going through next week's matches in a minute and giving our predictions, which basically Matt gets right.
There you go.
Webby guesses and I get totally wrong.
Hopefully you can see because it's a little bit.
I'll try and get a bit of.
It's not the best. It's not the best way to do it on the phone, but
try and do it.
Whoops.
Hello.
I think that's the best. Can you see that?
Okay, so John Bird is winning, along with Simon Corbett and Dylan Hodgetts and Dave Twine, all on 4 points. Is Green? You get it right.
Green is spot on. If anybody's not seen this before, you get the exact scoreline right, you get 2 points. If you get the result right, you get 1, and you get nothing if you get it wrong.
Which is usually where I am.
I'll put this table up in 2 minutes once you've read it.
So, where John Bird got the result right on that one, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
On many levels.
Yeah.
That's the top 4, all in 4 points, and then you've got Matt Buck. Have we heard of him before? He's sort of bobbling under, and for some reason I'm at the bottom.
Alphabetical.
Yeah. I'm just checking there I'm going through my alphabet quickly in my head. Okay, so as soon as Webby's got the
I'll get that up in a bit so everybody else can
fixtures up, we'll start going through that. We should leave us a little bit of room at the end.
Too much to do now.
Trying to keep all the plates spinning here.
Yeah. He's out of practice. That's the problem.
Have you got the fixtures up for this week? And I've got them here for you.
Well, if you've got them,
you go through them.
We'll go through with yours then.
Okay, right. First of all, we got tomorrow's match.
Oh God.
The team from Perry Bar against Leicester.
I've just written Perry Bar down here.
No.
So Brum versus Leicester, and I think we should let Webby go first with this one.
Okay, so what? No one. What is it?
Birmingham versus Leicester.
Okay, Birmingham by 8.
Wow.
That's very confident.
It's the backlash.
I'm going to say Birmingham by 2.
That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
I think Birmingham really need to win the match tomorrow, if they can.
We've got a few coming up. Simon Corbett says Leicester by 10. Rich Thomas says Leicester by 8. And Ben Clifton says, I really need a mug. A bit of rivalry going on between Simon and
Who gets
Ben
the
here.
mug?
All right. So, okay, next match.
Okay, that's the repeat of tonight's match. Poole against Plymouth.
Poole.
South Coast Derby.
And it's up to me to go first,
Yep.
isn't it? I'm going to say Poole by 10.
I'm going to say Poole by 8.
6.
Poole by 6. Okay. I've got some more Birmingham 38-52 to Leicester, and Brum 40 and Leicester 50. Nobody's got a lot of confidence in the best team in the league, have they? Poole by 14, says Simon Corbett.
Yeah.
Okay, we will collate all these, and
Yep.
let's see how I'm going to win this year.
What?
Yeah, I know.
You didn't score a point in the first round.
Because I didn't have a go, that's why. What's next?
Next up is Sheffield against Bellevue.
Chef Vincent Bellevue. It's me to go, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm going to say Sheffield by 14.
Yeah, I'm going to say Sheffield by 12.
Oh, I'm going Sheffield by 12 as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheffield by 16, Simon Corbett
Yeah.
says. Poole 51, Plymouth 39.
I think if I just copy either
Clifton.
Simon or Ben, I've got a good chance, haven't I?
So Simon and Ben wonder why they're struggling in the bottom at the end of the season.
Brum 30, Leicester 60. Oh, don't cry it not. Crikey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next
Thanks,
up
Mark.
is
Yep.
Kings Lynn against Ipswich.
Kings Lynn against Ipswich. It's up to you.
Kings Lynn by 2.
Kings Lynn by...
Kings Lynn by 4 as well.
Ben's gone Sheffield 46, Bellevue 44.
Yep.
Simon's gone
Simon-
Ipswich by 4.
Ipswich by 4. Sheffield 44. Aces 46, says Jeff Daniels. Interesting.
Yep. Next up is Redcar against Plymouth.
Redcar versus Plymouth. It's up to you.
Car by 6.
Redcar by 4.
Redcar by 10 also.
Okay. Kings Lynn 42. Ipswich 48.
Okay, next up, the Ndl Match Armadale against Beric.
Who's this up to? So it's this me.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a draw.
I'm going to say Armadale by 4.
I'm going to go Beric by 6.
Okay.
Jeff's gone for Redcar 49, Plymouth 41, same as Ben. Rich
Armadale by
Thomas,
16.
Redcar by
Simon
12.
Carr, it says Armadale by 16.
Okay. Next up is Leicester against Newcastle. Oh dear.
It's up to you, isn't it?
I'm going to go Leicester by 30.
I'd say
Yeah.
I'll go Leicester by 10.
Leicester by 30. It was exactly what I thought as soon as it came up. Simon
My
Corbett.
mom's
Leicester
my
by
mom's a Georgian. I
30.
don't think she's going to be very pleased with me for saying that.
It's already not looking good for me.
I won't tell her.
Next up, NDL, Beric against Oxford.
Beric against Oxford.
Great to be saying that again, isn't it, Oxford?
Isn't it just?
Yep.
I believe it's Webby's go. Beric versus Oxford.
Okay. How Oxford do? I'll go Beric by 4.
Beric by 4.
Beric by 10 also.
Well, thank you for taking my go.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm too keen, so...
I'm going to say Beric by 6.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say that, but I thought I'd put myself in the middle of you two.
All right. That's not a good place to be, is it? So,
Simon Corbett's gone Beric by 18.
yeah.
Rich Thomas has gone Beric by 16.
Okay.
Okay, 2 more. We've got Newcastle against Redcar on Sunday.
And this is to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Redcar by 6.
Redcar by 4.
It's a difficult one. Isn't it?
I'll go Redcar by 10.
Okay. Simon Corbett agrees with you.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Because you just read that
No, I
and just
didn't
did
explain
it.
that. He's copying me now. He obviously knows.
Beric 46, Oxford 44, says Ben Clifton.
Rich Thomas has gone Newcastle by 4. be a massive burst if Newcastle can get an early win, wouldn't it? So.
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
And the final match is in the National League, Plymouth against Bellevue. It'll be on Tuesday, so that'll be while we're on air in next week's show.
Okay. Who's this up to? It's up to you, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll go Plymouth by 4 on that one.
Okay, I'll go by 6.
I can't go in the middle of that then, can I?
Nope.
I'm going to go Plymouth by 4. And there is...
That in just a lesson.
Yeah. That's the jury of the British panel, wherever. Points from the British panel, that's what I was trying to say.
Yep.
I knew what I thought I said. Bellevue by 10, says Mark. Bellevue by 6, says Simon Corbett. We've got a Newcastle 40, Redcar 50. And lots of 44-46, Plymouth Bellevue by Ben. Excellent.
Should we talk about Oxford for a bit, actually?
That would be great,
'cause obviously, their first home match, of course, is a week on Wednesday. Against Scunthorpe. Sold out, which is good.
That's good.
Which is good, so...
Wow, that's something you don't hear very often, is it?
Sort of, I suppose, brings back memories for you, doesn't it, to the that opening night at Perry Bar in 2007. You know, the excitement building up to it, and after
absolutely.
so long away. I mean, Oxford obviously haven't been away quite as long as Birmingham were, but it's going to be a fantastic night. Of course, the guest of honour, Hans Nielsen, absolute legend at Oxford.
Again, similar to...
So many similarities, aren't there, really? So, but that's going to be a great night. And as we said last week, I think Oxford have put together a really good side as well. I think they've got the ideal number one in Scott Nichols. You know, still a class act. Okay, may not be quite the force that he once was.
At this level, he will be.
Level, certainly there. And I think alongside him with Troy Batchelor as well, that's a good strong top two that they've got. And I think their second match is that week's match that's been streamed, I think, against Poole. That's going to be...
I think that's right, yeah. I should be watching that with...
I think this week's is Redcar against Plymouth, actually, on Friday, so obviously that one, we'll be able to watch that one if you so wish to. So
yeah, I get on there because it helps your club, it helps everybody's club.
Yeah, absolutely. So
doing that.
And just so that people know, you can put your predictions on the stream after the stream, if you know what I mean. So you can
do it. You can do it all week, but obviously you can't put on meetings that have already run.
No, and we will know. We'll send somebody round if we find you doing that sort of thing. Okay.
Is that you again?
It's me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that threatening.
That was in the corner.
GP's announced to be on Eurosport, and then that's as far as I've got.
GP's announced to be on Eurosport live alongside the Premiership.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
That's good. A hell of a lot of Kings fans are heading round to Oxford to support our former Kent Riders, said Ben Clifton.
Nice to hear. And Mark Ferguson says, great to see new teams in the league and an old track coming back, all good for the sport. There does seem to be a general vibe of goodness at the moment, if you can put it that way.
I think so, yeah.
It's scary, isn't it? It's bound to stop.
Says a true Birmingham City.
Exactly,
fan, but it is great to see Oxford back, and it's going to give confidence to clubs like Coventry as well that they can find a way back.
Oh God, yes, please.
You know, Bradford, another one, of course. I mean, obviously the stock cars are back at Artsel. I've still got my reservations as to whether Bradford is viable for League Speedway, but certainly as a major venue, it would be more than liable.
Why did you say that, Matt? Why is it not good for?
Well, I don't know whether you've ever been to Artsel.
No.
It's enormous. To be fair, I mean the crowds that they got when they had league racing back in the 90s were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
In comparison, but in a stadium like Artsel, they were just lost. To be honest.
Yeah, I did read somewhere that it was
the answer be to limit where they can go?
Yeah, they didn't really do that when Bradford were running in the top league back in the 90s.
So that would be an answer to get everybody to.
Yeah.
I've read somewhere going back many decades ago, they played a rugby league game there. Would that be about right?
Yeah, it was.
And it was the biggest ever rugby league gate
Yeah,
it was enormous. It was 6 foot
Yeah,
high.
I think it was yellow as well. No,
Bradford Rhinos. Who was it played there?
and it was. We're talking about 1920s, 30s, I
Bradford
think.
Rhinos was.
Bradford, was it?
Yeah.
I'm not
So it was something like 100,000. Well, it couldn't have been 100,000, could it?
Oh, it is. I mean, it's a massive place. It's it's not called the Oddsall Bowl for no reason.
Yeah,
It's
I'll have to
a
Google
big,
that. I'm
huge
sure
bowl.
I've read that somewhere.
They had 2 World Finals, of course, there as well
Yeah.
in '85 and 1990. So,
what's Mr. Paul Lavender saying there? Because I can't. Again, it's going.
Okay,
off
so
range.
it's nice to be able to go to meetings, but this BSN has to be the way forward.
Absolutely.
Well, certainly for away fans, because not all away fans are in a position to be able to go and
Well, Birmingham to Berwick's a hell of a jaunt, isn't it?
Yeah, Bradford Bulls. Yes, thanks, Rich. Bradford Bulls. They played there. So
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
126,000. Yeah.
Too big for a league venue, but would be awesome for a GP. I went to the reopening. There were 4,000 allowed in due to COVID. I'm guessing restrictions is the word that comes after.
yeah, I agree with Ben. It is a very for the size of the stadium and league racing. I mean, this isn't. They didn't have poor teams either. Bradford was always a very, very strong team. I mean, they had a phenomenal record in the Knockout Cup at one stage. But I mean, the last season that they were out there, of course, they won the league. But the crowds really didn't make it viable for the size of the stadium that they were using. I mean, they had great crowds there for big meetings. Yeah, I mean, obviously the 2 World Finals, they had overseas finals and intercontinental finals there, and they always had good crowds for those.
Is it viable to have a speedway track there just for those meetings? Then?
Probably not. That's the only problem. So
I mean, obviously you could do it as a temporary thing, like you do with
Cardiff,
I suppose.
I do think British Speedway needs another major venue. To be honest, I mean, you've got Bellevue, which is fantastic, but you can't just have that one venue, and
Yeah.
So you really need somewhere
and also
central, don't
it's
you?
limited. It's not big. You can't have like 126,000 that Oddsall had as their biggest attendance.
No, that's right.
Or the 100,000 you used to get for the Wembley final.
Yeah, I think this is the age-old question. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, they should have the GP at Bellevue instead of Cardiff. But the problem is, if you have it at Bellevue, you're stopping about 30,000 people from going straight away because it's just not big enough.
Yeah.
Brian Buck says hopefully the Kent fans will support their own team at their alternative venue. Ewade, I don't know how you pronounce that. It doesn't have the standard of facilities that their former home Central Park had, which was a great track, by the way.
I never went there, so.
But it's a lifeline for the club and the new promoters. They deserve to succeed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So which is the biggest venue at the moment?
Isle of Wight.
Isle of Wight.
But of course, do you count that as a venue? It's not within British Speedway, is it?
Probably not now.
Then it's probably Beric, I think.
Quite possibly, yeah. Obviously, they share it with Beric Rangers, don't they? So.
Oh yeah, the only English club in the Scottish League, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, so we better not get into the politics of the
Please don't. So I started off today's show talking about this idea of averages being used to even out teams, and it doesn't really appear to work. This is something that was put up on the West Midlands Speedway Teams forum. That isn't Wolverhampton.
Gridley, is it, so?
Yeah. By Mr. Brian Buck, somebody you know a little bit, I think.
Obviously, yeah.
Oh, God, that scared the life out of me. Thoughts? I mean, I'm throwing it open to everybody out there and throwing it open to you. Is there anything? Is there a better way? Is there another way of doing that? I can't think of one. But it doesn't work,
building
does it?
teams.
It doesn't work, does it?
The only other way, which they have tried in the past, of course, was the rider grading, which I think they tried in, I think it was 2004, I think.
Right.
And it was kept for one season and then got rid of.
Well, surprise, surprise.
So, but albeit because apparently one club complained and they didn't like it, so they got rid of it.
Would that have been a club beginning with P?
It wasn't actually, no.
Okay.
No.
Wasn't Plymouth then?
I won't tell you the name because this is only something that I was told
Okay,
allegedly, so
okay.
I obviously can't give you the name. But that, I mean, I know Chris Van Stratton and Peter Adams have always been in favour of introducing rider grading, but the problem at the moment is I don't think there's enough riders to be able to do it. I know obviously Simon's brought up there the old rider
Ollie
control
Olsen
that he had
thing,
in the
yeah.
70s, but yeah.
Because Olsen refused to go to
Go to Hull.
Go to Hull, yeah.
Who would?
So,
Yeah.
So
It's understandable.
refused to
isn't
go
it,
to Hull, so he got
Yeah.
sent to Coventry instead. So
To Hull and back.
Actually, that whole track was quite a good track.
that's the Boulevard.
Yeah,
the Boulevard. Yeah.
Also, rugby league capacity 26,000. Record attendance all time 102,569. Warrington versus Halifax, 5th of May 1950. 102,000.
I'd just have the 2,000.
Ipswich holds 12,000. Gets massive crowds for stock car banger racing, said Jeff Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because it's not every week, is it? So it's
Right, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's done as an event rather than a.
It's not really racing, to be fair, either,
No.
is it, to be honest.
No.
But,
Would you like to read this last one here?
Brian's? Rider grading is workable provided it is administered fairly and impartially, which hasn't been the case in the past.
And let's be honest here, we're talking about Speedway.
yeah.
It hasn't exactly got the greatest record, has it?
Of impartiality and yeah.
Because of that old thing, as we've always said on this programme, and
Perception.
we're here, you know, but you need somebody in control of it that's not in control of a club.
Yeah.
It needs impartiality. Otherwise, it doesn't even matter whether people are being impartial or not, because the perception will be that they're not.
Two trips continue to Ho, Sheffield, Air Fence down tomorrow. Holder, Ellis, Mooslack, Haworth. Do me bit Thursday. Great team and proud. I think that's all in code.
You actually got Thomas Muslack's name right there. haven't you?
Well, you know, I do my research.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
He rode well last night, by the way.
Yeah,
But,
you said.
Yeah, he looked really, really fast. He wasn't quite so good when he missed the start, but the first three races, you couldn't get near him. He looked a world away from the rider that struggled for walls in 2015, I must admit.
Well, that's the way it always goes,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. That could be a really inspired move, I think, by Sheffield, because it's a sort of track I think he'll do well at as well. It's a big, fast track, so...
Right, well... yeah, I mean, nobody else... There appears to be no other way of doing this other than rider control. And I just don't think that will work.
I don't think there's... As I said, I don't think there's enough riders to do it now, unfortunately.
And the alternative
that
is?
Well, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
You can't think of
I
an
don't know.
alternative.
I mean,
Default.
the only other thing I can think of is some sort of, like they do in American football, when they bid on, I can't remember what it's called now, when they bid on people. And,
Yeah.
and
Oh, right, yeah.
the team that finished
yeah.
last gets first
Right,
pick
okay.
of the new people coming through, but it's not really
They're pulled,
applicable,
aren't
is
they?
it?
It all falls down really because of doubling up. I think until they've sort of got that under control, and because I think the feeling I have is that the promoters want to get rid of doubling up completely, but he can't really do it in one go because of the shortage of riders that it's created. So it's sort of going to have to be phased out slowly. But I think the problem is the riders quite like the doubling up because it's extra meetings for them and it means extra money, which you can understand. To be fair, if I was a rider, I'd want to double up. To be honest.
So would I, but so many of these riders now are riding in leagues here, there, and and everywhere else.
Draft. That's the word we were calling.
That's the word. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
I mean, Adam Ellis is doing a lot of riding this year, isn't he?
Isn't he? Yeah.
So
I think he's decided he's better when he's on the bike.
Yeah, I think so.
Which makes sense.
There's been a running theme for the last 11 years, and that is every week. And the main topics has been How can we change it?
Yeah. Well, I've got a question.
It's true, though, isn't it?
I've got a question for you because you're involved in lots of football shows and so on. Is that the same in football?
No, I
Do
don't
people
think it is.
discuss about
No,
how they
I
can we
don't-
change?
No,
Not
very,
really,
it's
not
very
really.
rarely. It's very rarely. It might come up once a season. I think the biggest change has been substitutes, isn't it, this season? But that's
I would imagine VAR was a thing that people.
Don't,
was,
don't get us started on that, please.
yeah, it was. But some people love it, some people don't. I suppose it's like in Speedway, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, but it's true, isn't it? It's been a running theme.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let Matt double up if he was a rider.
No, neither would I, to be honest. Actually, so.
Yeah, you always get strong and weak teams. It's getting riders on false averages and unknowns from abroad. Says
That's
Simon.
the trick. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is always the trick.
A rider won't go to club if he doesn't fancy it, i.e., if he doesn't like the track, etc. etc.
Well, I mean, that was the Ollie Olsen thing that we was alluding to earlier. I think he almost single-handedly brought down the rider control system because of that.
Although in saying that, I mean, Ivan Major was quite happy to go to Hull, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think people were quite surprised at the time, weren't they? But I mean,
I think it was more that he wanted to stop at Coventry than he didn't want to go to Hull.
Yeah,
I think that was.
Well, I was stuck in the Midlands, obviously, because he was at Wolves beforehand. So
Let the clubs sign who they want and be like football.
And we'd have
Well done.
Speedway clubs after
You
about
would.
2 years.
It's yeah.
you'd have Paul signing all the top riders, wouldn't you? So
Yeah. Well, they do anyway. But to be fair,
What if there was a cap?
well, that's really what we got now, isn't it, with the points limit? So
well, it isn't. I mean,
It's not the same though, is
it's
it?
not, no, because I mean, I think both working hand in hand would be an interesting idea. Because I mean, you alluded it to there with Paul being one of the richer clubs.
yeah,
And so, I mean, even now, they almost get first pick of riders, don't they?
yeah.
If there's a cap on how much they can
spend.
spend, then that might not be quite so easy for them to do.
So I've got money in my head now. So
Yeah.
you just reminded me of that. So that was all those years ago. So
There you go. That's another alternative, isn't it? It's,
I mean, do you agree with me that when he says let the club, Jeff Daniels said let the club sign who they want and be like football? Do you agree with me that what would happen is we'd end up with no clubs eventually?
well, you'd end up with just completely one-sided matches, wouldn't you? That's the problem, and people don't want to see that, unfortunately. So
we'll have it in football. One-sided games.
Yeah, okay, but football is such a different sport that there is always a chance you can be a non-league side and go to Arsenal and get a result.
yeah,
It can happen.
Yeah.
Because you can just put everybody in front of the goal and just defend and maybe get a lucky goal.
case in points, Kidderminster against West Ham.
That's not. It's not.
So-
You can't say that in Speedway. It's not going. If you've got a National League side against
Sheffield,
Sheffield,
good example.
then there's just nothing that can be done. You can't.
Yeah.
There's no goal mouth for you to guard.
No.
It's there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
So it's literally comparing pears and sugar.
Okay. There's another. I'll throw this one in as well. What about bikes? What about bikes being all the same bikes? Is that stupid?
That's been alluded to in the past, isn't it, about
I would-
standardising equipment?
I would love to do it for that, but the biggest, but just being devil's advocate now, the riders wouldn't like it. They wouldn't like it.
No.
Or certainly the big riders wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Then you get the brown envelopes in your kit bag, says Rich Tom. Craigie weren't rich when they signed the unknown Pennell and Gunderson, says Simon. Looking back at the results in the 40s.
How many Pennells and Gundersons are there out there?
Unfortunately, not very many. So
Yeah, looking back at results in the 40s, they were like 73, 21, etc. Wasn't rider control then. No loyalty in football, it's all about money. At the moment, successful clubs are penalised for being successful.
Yeah, that's
Less
always-
successful clubs should aim higher.
I was just looking at that post there from Jim. That is a fair point. To be fair, Speedway it's always been a frustration for me that Speedway's been one of those sports that seems to reward failure and punish success in a lot of ways.
Well, in a monetary size, if you win a match by lots, you're paying your riders lots.
Yeah.
So it is a double-edged sword, that one.
I'll read this last one.
I do take a little bit of issue with the second part of that comment. I don't think any club goes out there really not to succeed. They do the best they can with what they've got. I think,
Standardised bikes would improve the spectacle by incredible amounts. Will never happen, as even the kids have thousands invested in current. And on that note,
bring back 2-valve Jawas. It always comes out.
Phil Crump was the one that brought the 4 valves in, wasn't he?
He was one of the ones. It was with the Westlakes and all of that. I think we're going.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much, everybody. See you all next week. If you're a Birmingham supporter out there, get yourself down to Perry Bar tomorrow, and if you're a Speedway supporter, get yourself to your local club when you can this week or next week. See you soon, guys.
Good night.
Good night.